What's up guys? This video addresses one of my pet peeves when it comes to art. Hair. I love rendering hair. It's one of my favorite steps in making art actually. It's one of those things where you can really flex your creative muscles, you know? Like you can be extravagant or be modest. But one of my biggest pet peeves is seeing poorly rendered hair. When done well, it looks magnificent, but when it's done poorly, it doesn't blend at all. It looks horrible. It looks off and sometimes even looks like a toddler took a glue stick and just slapped a cutout on someone's forehead. And I shall have none of it any longer. I'm going to put these mediocre hair rendering techniques to rest permanently. One might say, but young, there is already so much knowledge of hair techniques in art online already. Well, you're right, but since there is so much information, it can be daunting. What I can offer is breaking it down into concise, well thought out, actually helpful points, and they work for every style. Enough yapping, let's go. The first thing to know about hair is shape. I have an entire video dedicated to shape language, so watch that too. It's a non-negotiable, you must watch it. But be sure to use shapes to your advantage. You can be really flashy or simple, it's all up to you. But whatever you do, make sure to commit to it. A set of guidelines that usually work are contrasting shapes complement each other. For example, round face, angular hair. Similar shapes also work too. You have a gentle or delicate character, wavy, flowy shapes tend to do well when emphasizing the demeanor of the character. Someone rugged and tough, sharp, angular shapes tend to do the job well. A character that seems unassuming, straight hair does an excellent job of making someone seem unremarkable. Now this isn't a dig at anyone with straight hair is beautiful. I'm just saying in the realm of character design that a lot of times characters with straight hair tend to seem nonchalant, laid back and unassuming, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, nonetheless, these are just guides. There are many characters who don't follow these rules. All I'm saying is be mindful of it when creating a hairstyle. Now we move into texture. You have straight, curly, and kinky. There are different rendering techniques for each, but a rule of thumb for all is do not get caught up in drawing individual strands. Focus on the big picture. In this post, I didn't even render the hair. It's all pure black, just the shape, just the silhouette. But that just goes to show how unnecessary it is. So don't overwork it and don't stress about it. As long as you have something on the head, people will identify it as hair, no matter how bizarre anyway. Okay, we're getting a little sidetracked. Back to the main point at hand, texture. To effectively convey texture, you must once again pay attention to shape language. So break up the main shape into smaller shapes that convey the texture. And once you get those shapes, draw a few strands to imply the hair goes in that direction. I'm assuming this is kind of hard to understand without a visual, so I'm going to save your brain and give you one. Here, his hair is straight, right? But it's still dynamic because I broke it down into individual shapes. And when I do that, I draw a few strands of hair following the direction of the shapes. So you can see it with a different hair texture. Look at this. Basic shapes, then within the constraints of those shapes, draw a few hair strands to imply the curliness. Finally, details. Now that we have the general hairstyle, it's time to add the small details that tie it together. Loose strands of hair, lighting, and definition. Combine these three and your hair will look perfect. Remember, hair is millions of thin threads bundled together. There are bound to be a few loose strands, so add them. Don't go overboard, but don't hold back either. Dot them around the place, add them to the silhouette, and dangle a few in front of the face. And you can really push it to its limits when the hair is flowing or in motion. Then, it's lighting. Remember the big shapes, so shade the hair keeping that in mind. Some tufts of hair will be overlapping. Add more strands to the parts in light and less to the parts in shadow. Before I forget, another tip. While in the vein of lighting, let's talk about color variation in hair. It's not necessary, especially in black hair. Black hair, you can get away with just pure black, But when it comes to colored hair, dyed hair, like blondes, reds, ginger hair, stuff like that, there's a lot of color variation. It's not all blonde. If you look at certain spots in the hair, it's dark browns. Some spots, it's pale yellows, sometimes almost white, sometimes even silver. Same thing with ginger hair. There's some dark reds, dark oranges, some umbers. And if you dot around the piece, you'll find a lot of color variation. More than you would expect actually. So it's not necessary, but if you use color gradient, think about it and add it to the piece. I did it in this one. Finally, definition. This is basically the same thing as lighting. They go hand in hand. The strands of hair to the front of the face and in the light will be sharper than those at the back. Alright, these are the tips I have, and to end the video, I will show a time lapse of me rendering the hair. Now this is just the sketch, and you can see I already have the general shape of the hair in mind. Now this is a hair tutorial, right? Not a face tutorial. So let me just... Alright, now the time lapse can start. See if you can identify the tips I mentioned earlier in this piece. I didn't use all, but I used most. Alright, that's all I have to say. Goodbye now. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe to join the Young Artisan cult and level up your art game. Okay, now I'm gone.